Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to episode 72. I would like to talk about something I've talked about before, but it still inspires me, and that's the truly helpful prayer. It's such a famous part, an important part of A Course in Miracles, and I believe it is severely and compulsively misunderstood. I think the ego loves to be out there trying, pretending to be doing well, pretending to be helping. So let's talk about what the truly helpful prayer is. It's from chapter 4. I am here only to be truly helpful. So the whole question is, for me, what is being truly helpful? I was trying to share with someone today. He had asked me what was going on for me, and I was sharing in great detail, probably too much detail, what was going on for me, but it was really heartfelt. And he kept interrupting me to give me suggestions. But if he had only waited, he would have seen that those suggestions were not appropriate. They were already, I'd covered new field that it was like, it wasn't a fit. But what is that? Because I do it too. We all do it. We're jumping in there. We're not listening. We're not listening to each other. What does that mean, that we're not listening? Are we withholding our listening? Are we withholding extending our hearts? Are we trying to show we're smart? Or we just can't be bothered to just let the other person be? What would be more helpful to you when you would like to share with someone? Possibly there's a time that you want help, but how many times do you just want to connect? Maybe it is an ego kind of connection because it's ain't it awful, but this time I was actually trying to say what was great, and my friend couldn't wait. Why? I think he was trying to be helpful. On one level, he thought he was trying to be helpful, but really he was trying to be smart, maybe make a contribution, not be left behind. How often do we do that? What are we afraid of? Is it fear? Is that why we block the love of connection? The Course says it's either love or fear. For me as a psychotherapist, a lot of things get bundled with fear. I can connect fear and unworthiness. I can feel unworthy when I'm actually afraid. But if I call in the witness, which would be Holy Spirit, there is no such thing as unworthiness. There really isn't anything even as fear, not in present time. Not if I've called in the witness, the one that's not attached, not the observer that has a stake in my story. You know what I mean by a stake in my story. What is the stake in my story? So when I was frustrated by my friend and his interruptions, it just made me wonder, what would a good connection be like? I think it would be being heard by just a really good listener. I think we were taught an incorrect thing. We were taught to say, yeah, I know, I did that too. That's just like this when I did that, and blah, blah. Is that connecting? Or is that just some kind of mechanistic talking? The helpfulness prayer says, I'm here only to be truly helpful. So if it's not helpful to talk, what would be helpful? Maybe zipping it up, maybe being quiet enough to stay present and say, maybe asking a question, not helping, but just showing that we're right there with them. Maybe it would be a question, but even that, the helpfulness prayer would suggest don't do that either, because it gives us instructions. He who sent me will direct me. What if you weren't sent? What if then you weren't directed? What if you were sent and directed, but you weren't listening? I think we can all say we've done that. So how can we do it differently? This way of interrupting, talking, helping, giving suggestions would be one path. The helpfulness path would be the prayer. This prayer would, from chapter 4, would be a different path. And I was thinking yesterday that those of us who lived in this world pretend that we can actually have one foot in one path and one foot in the other. So when I was walking along the beach this morning, I had one foot in a tide pool and one foot on the sand. So we can do that some places. But this spiritual work, this freedom work, you can't have one pool committed to the ego's plan, which would be show off, get points for being smart, get points for helping, prove I'm smart, prove I'm helpful. What would the other path look like? So what I came up with yesterday is that what if there were two places to swim? If there were two swimming pools or an ocean and a swimming pool, there's no way we could imagine that we could do both at the same time. That's our problem. And by the way, what if every time we considered helping, we asked ourselves, Are we withholding the opposite? I think that is what this truly helpful prayer is telling us. It's telling us don't withhold anything. If I tell you to go, if I tell you to speak, you go and speak and do what I ask. And the implication is if I haven't asked you, if I'm not telling you, zip it up. Wow. What if we did that? So let's go to my two swimming pools. One swimming pool is the one we're used to, and it happens to have a wonderful fragrance, a fragrance that we love. Maybe it's sandalwood or lilac or lavender, something almost addictive. We want to come back to it. And the water is very warm, and it just, we have that habit. We want to return. It feels so good. Now, what if the other place to swim is much less cozy and familiar? Maybe it's the ocean. Maybe it's colder. Maybe it's a little rougher because we're not used to it. We don't have our skills. But the ocean, the skills of habit, the skills of routine. But the swimming pool, the one that smelled so good and was so comfy and warm, what if it caused pain, emotional pain, retraction, contraction, unworthiness, shame spirals? Are we going to come back again tomorrow? Now, the other swimming facility, that's the ocean, it's unlimited. It has only freedom. It has no after effects, no come down from a sugar high or an alcohol high or a drug high or a people pleasing high or a doing high. There are no bravos and yays because there are no polarities. It's only the beingness of the ocean, where we're both the waves and the whole ocean. We're always being held. We don't even have to effort to swim. We're being carried by the waves. And afterwards, we're only refreshed and renewed. No after effects except expansion, openness to the next moment, knowing that we spoke when it was ours to speak. We did when it was ours to do. If you're scared of the ocean or the ocean feels too wild, then let's choose two swimming pools. One has the familiar, comfy temperature, and the other one is a little chilly. It's a little chilly, but there are no after effects, and we warm up when we start moving. We can let go in this pool because We know we're 100% welcome. We're 100% effortless in listening to each moment. The first pool, the pool of the ego, is all about polarity, up and down, good and bad, right and wrong, doing or not doing, pluses and minuses, yay and nay. We're doing great, we're special, or we're the worst of the worst. The other swimming pool, we can just let go because we're neither. We're just good enough. There are no after effects, no bad smells, no bad pain, no hurt, no consequences. Just the next moment, just beingness. Beingness. A friend of mine, Laura Lucille, came up with that phrase, beingness. What does that mean? That means we withhold nothing, but we're not trying to make points. We're not trying to be helpful. We are helpful because our beingness is an extension. We're always available to each other because we are each other. How amazing would that be? Where are you in this? Are you going to choose the freedom pool or the ocean? Or are you going to choose to go back to that comfy swimming pool that has the wonderful fragrance, the wonderful, comfortable temperature, the ways you've always known to do things? Maybe it'll turn out differently this time. Isn't that what we always say? We try and do the same things the way we've done them with hoping for a different result. One thing you might notice when we go back to the helping swimming pool where we just are on automatic, interrupting people, helping people, telling them how smart we are with what they could do and what they should do and how much we know. One thing about that way of life is that there are no pauses. We're on automatic from the time we wake up, unless we're chewing some food or falling asleep or watching or listening to something. There's no silence. And there's no witness. We have an observer that notices our screwed up behavior. It's commenting all day, but it's all involved in the yay or the nay. It's involved in the praise or the criticism. Just for a few minutes, will you join me to the witness of that noticer the last time you screwed up in your personality's point of view? You've already thought of it, right? And your noticer is judging you. You should have chosen differently. You know better. But what is it? Where is it? What is that space? That space-like place that notices the noticer, that witnesses the event, but could care less which way you did it. You just are so allowed to be. You're not judged. You're welcome. You're welcome. You're welcome. What would that be like to be welcome to just be? Are you feeling any calmer? Are you feeling any less judgmental toward that place you thought you could have done better? Is there a little more space within you to consider a little more neutrality, a little more spaciousness? Are you a little less involved in what happened? The first noticer was very involved. They might have been just shaking their finger at you if they could. Very involved. There's a story of a judge talking to some people who witnessed an accident. And he said, I want to talk to someone who saw the accident. So the attorneys send up some people. And he says, so you were there, right? Tell me about the accident. And the man says, oh, this woman came out and this other man hit her with his car. And the judge says, so what did you do? He said, well, I yelled at the man and I pushed the woman. And the judge said, oh, you are now part of the accident scene. You're not the witness. The witness does not get involved. And the story goes on and on. I won't tell you, but the story goes where they pick another witness. And then the judge says, and what did you do? And then the witness says, well, I called them an SOB. And I said, you can't treat a woman like that. And then the judge says, of course, well, you're not a witness. You're involved in the accident. You aggravated the scene. And it goes on and on like that, so that we can see that we're not the witness. We're not the Holy Spirit. We're not the presence when we're all involved in our personal stake in the story. So I'll leave you right now with your event and leave you to pull back just a little more and become even more the witness without a stake in that story. And I wonder now, if I ask you, do you think that you understand the truly helpful prayer any differently in its application? Are you going to jump in and when someone's talking and tell them what they could do and how they could fix their problems? Or are you going to see if you're withholding something more loving by listening? Namaste, everyone. I send you love. Bye-bye.